Hi, I'm Audrey, and I am going to be reading a passage from Erich Fromm's Man for Himself, and then I'm also going to explain why there are fish in the video. So this section is about personality, under the chapter Human Nature and Character. The superficial character of human relationships leaves many to hope that they can find depth and intensity of feeling in individual love. But love for one person and love for one's neighbor are indivisible, and in any given culture, love relationships are only a more intense expression of the relatedness to man's prevalent in culture. To man prevalent in that culture. Hence, it is an illusion to expect that the loneliness of man, rooted in the marketing orientation, can be cured by individual love. Thinking as well as feeling is determined by the marketing orientation. Thinking assumes the function of grasping things quickly so as to be able to manipulate them successfully. Furthered by widespread and efficient education, this leads to a high degree of intelligence, but not of reason. For manipulative purposes, all that is necessary to know is the surface features of things, the superficial. The truth to be uncovered by pertaining to the essence of phenomena becomes an obsolete concept. Truth, not only in the pre-scientific sense of absolute truth, dogmatically maintained without reference to empirical data, but also in the sense of truth attained by man's reason applied to his observations and open to revision. Most intelligent tests are attuned to this kind of thinking. They measure not so much the capacity for reason and understanding as the capacity for quick mental adaptations to a given situation. Mental adjustment tests would be the adequate name for them. For this kind of thinking, the application of the categories of comparison and of quantitative measurements, rather than a thought analysis of a given phenomenon and its qualities, is essential. All problems are equally interesting, and there is little sense of the respective differences in their importance. Knowledge itself becomes a commodity. Here, too, man is alienated from his own power. Thinking and knowing are experienced as a tool to produce results. Knowledge of man himself, psychology, which in the great tradition of Western thought was held to be the condition for virtue, for right of living, for happiness, has degenerated into an instrument to be used for better manipulation of others and oneself, in market research, in political propaganda, in advertising, and so on. Evidently, this type of thinking has a profound effect on our educational system. From grade school to graduate school, the aim of learning is to gather as much information as possible that is mainly used for the purpose of the market. Students are supposed to learn so many things that they have hardly time and energy left to think. Not the interest in the subject taught or the knowledge and insight as such, but the enhanced exchange value knowledge gives is the main incentive for wanting more and better education. We find today a tremendous enthusiasm for knowledge and education, but at the same time a skeptical or contemptuous attitude towards the allegedly impractical and useless thinking which is concerned only with the truth and which has no exchange value on the market. This passage from Erich Fromm's book was particularly impactful for me because I thought that I felt like this is the problem with our society today. Like he said, people are only interested with the surface features of things or the superficial, not in what's actually true about something. And the reason why I have this video with a bunch of fish in the ocean is because this made me think about I thought the ocean was a really good metaphor for this kind of situation that he's describing. So a lot of people in today's culture look out at the ocean and they're like, oh wow, that's beautiful, that's a beautiful sunset, that's a beautiful ocean, the ocean can be like beautiful blue, like I want to be near the ocean, all these things about the surface of the ocean. But the actual surface of the ocean is just a tiny fragment of what the ocean actually has to offer. I chose this metaphor because I really love scuba diving, and I've been scuba diving in a few different places, and it's just amazing the huge difference between looking out at the surface of a beautifully blue ocean and then actually swimming underneath it with all these different fish and all this different coral. And the ocean actually is the habitat for over 230,000 species of known species of creatures to the known scientific world, which means that so much of the ocean is still undiscovered that there could be even more species than we know. And because the average depth is about 3,790 meters, and the total volume of all of the oceans is about 1.3 billion cubic kilometers. So there's this huge, vast, unknown, mysterious thing that most people just take for surface value, and I feel like this metaphor can kind of be applied to what Erich Fromm is talking about, and how there's so much, the truth of the ocean, the truth of our lives, the truth of experiences that we have is so much more than just the surface. And experiencing a coral reef with all of the different hundreds of species of fish swimming around you is so, even though it doesn't stretch all of the ocean, it doesn't cover all of the ocean, all of the species everywhere, that's so much more of a meaningful experience than just looking out at the ocean. And I think maybe we should try to look under the surface of experiences in our lives and see how much more there is to learn.